shout out to Coming of Age. You are with E Huff, and this is part of our Make a Culture Move podcast series here at Macam, Make a Chess Move. Once again, I'm E Huff. I work for Macam, program coordinator. Get to be the host of this awesome show and also get to participate on some other shows with some awesome individuals. So, as I say every week, man, I'm super thankful to be here, man. I'm super thankful for the opportunity that our ED Philip Douglas has put me in here, and I'm super excited to talk about coming of age, where we discuss the issues that young adults face in society. I think that for the 18 to 30 crowd, it's a very interesting time to be in your life, and a lot of the generations before us have failed us and given us the information that we need and just everything that we need in order to be successful. So instead of crying and complaining about it, I said, you know what, let's create that space for ourselves so we can discuss it. And shout out to the viewer number. I ain't gonna disclose it, but we getting a higher number each week in the earlier part of the show. So that means people are messing with us. Make sure to share. As I tell you all the time, if you are watching it on my page, that's super dope. I appreciate the love. But go ahead and do me a favor and hop off of my page and go to the Make a Culture Move Macam Facebook page. You can catch the same live stream. Go ahead and follow us. I appreciate you messing with me, but this is definitely about Macam, and we do all kind of super dope work here outside of just this coming of age and other podcast series. So make sure you go ahead and go check us out there, and make sure you head over to www.makeachessmove.org. Go check out our website. It's super, super dope. You can see some dope pictures of some people you might know, especially if you're from the East Side. You can go down to the bottom and scroll down and see the donation tab. Feel free to donate. If not, just make sure you share it to your network. Let people know what we're doing out here. Follow us on Instagram, instagram.com/Macam303. You know what I mean? We got some dope pics on there. Find out what we're doing. We are on Twitter. You can check us out at twitter.com/Macam303 and Pinterest as well. /Macam303. So all of that is that. And last but certainly not least, if you liking my hoodie, you like this East First hoodie, you like East End Visions, Vision of Love, my personal apparel brand, where we're just, projecting love and projecting loving your community, loving yourself, family, all that good stuff, everything love stands for. So make sure you go ahead and check us out there at eastendvisions.com, and you could check us out at eastendvisions_apparel as well. Make sure almost forgot. Head over to Make a Chess Move Facebook page as well, where you can find out about pushing pawns and just overall Macam as a whole. So make sure you go like that as well. And and then you'll be involved in Macam, and it's super dope. We're super, super dope here. And today's topic is a part 2. So if you tapped in last week, me and my boy Mark, we were discussing what a young man's taste is like in society and where that comes from, why that is, what that's influenced by. And it was super dope. If you didn't get a chance to see it, you can head over, like I said, to that Make a Culture Move Facebook page, and you can check that out, and you can see the crazy conversation that me and Mark had. But I would be foul if I left the ladies out and I didn't include the ladies into the conversation. So I had to go call on a special friend of mine, somebody I super admire. I got to walk them wonderful manual hallways with for 2 years. Daddy's a superstar. She's a superstar. Neighborhood heroes, all that good stuff. So I want to welcome on Miss Savannah Jones, all the way from Texas. So I'm going to let her go ahead and introduce herself. Go ahead and tell the people who you are, Savannah.
Hi, y'all. I'm Savannah Jones. As he said, well, many of y'all know my dad is Vernon Jones, Pastor Vernon Jones. I went to Manual High School, graduated 2017. I'm currently a senior at Texas Christian University studying double majoring in social work and comparative race and ethnic studies. And so, I'm a sister, I'm a friend, I'm a student, that's really it.
It's crazy because I don't know if it was yesterday, so excuse me if I'm wrong. I don't know if it was yesterday or today, but it's the anniversary of you winning the Daniels Fund.
Yes.
Winning the Daniels Fund. So she got the brains, y'all. Just in case y'all was guessing. I've been around Savannah. I think I met you probably when you were in 7th grade. I think I remember P. Jones. Maybe even younger than that, to be honest, because especially when I found out that y'all was up at Kinship on 28th. So then I know somewhere along those lines. We crossed paths as youngin, but her father has been super influential in my life. Actually, that's who I did my intake with my freshman year at Manual. So a lot of people don't know the first person I met when I went through those doors was Vernon Jones. So he is the foundation for everything that I ended up becoming. So super shout out to him. So so I had to go ahead and bring Savannah on here so we could talk about our topic, because something about Savannah is she's honest and she's grown. And a lot of time in our generation and in our community, we don't grow. We don't grow at all. So Savannah has grown and she's not afraid to admit it, just as anyone who is successful. So she's a perfect person to tap in on this conversation about, what I mean? What does a young woman like in today's society? So we go kick off with just a quick, just like I kicked it off with Mark, I'm gonna kick it off with you. What's your type, Savannah? What's your taste? Go ahead and let the viewers know.
Currently, I would say one of your questions, like, it does change. So I would say my taste right now is just like, I'm out here grinding. The person that I'm talking to got to be doing the same thing. If I'm out here, trying to get a degree, working, putting in the work with my mental health, trying to, just elevate, that's really what my taste is right now. So just like that aspect, but also I always say, like, respect and love. Like, you have to respect me, you have to love me, because everything else will flow from that. Your communication style, how you deal with anger, like your loyalty, your commitment, like how you protect me, like it all will stem from how you respect and love me. And I will also say, like, just due to personal experiences, like I know y'all said last week, colors, I'm very much so, my type is Black male, just simply because of what I've experienced in my life due to like being biracial. And so, but yeah, just having, and you got to match my fly. I wrote that in my notes.
Okay. Said I had to match my fly. Okay. Yeah. So you alluded to something. I think we should just go ahead and jump into it in the beginning, because I think it could take up a good chunk of time. How has your taste changed in men across the years? And break it down if you can, you don't mind, like from, let's look at, because we've only been through so many phases in life at this age. It's really middle school, high school, college. So talk about really how, because I don't care what anybody says, in middle school, you got your own taste. That's when, you start learning stuff you didn't think and start experiencing things. So talk about how in those major phases of life, your taste in men changed.
I'm going to say, like, mine started elementary. Like, I liked the more silver teeth, the better. Like that was my type, and it just carried over into middle school. And I will say, like, that's funny, but really, like, the class clown, the bad boy type mentality, that was my, like, I was drawn to that.
Okay.
And yeah, that was how it started out. Like, the knuckleheads, loud mouths, like that was my, like, oh, like, I don't know why that was a thing, but I mean, I guess you can analyze that and dissect that. But I think that when I was younger, it was like, oh, he's chasing you, he's doing this and this, he's messing with you, he's hitting you, like, as a little kid, like, oh, that means he likes you. And so I think that like kind of message that's sent to little girls can be detrimental, like, so yeah, I feel like that was how it was. And that's what it was. Middle school, high school.
Okay. So what shifted? What made you want to start messing with gentlemen that a little bit, have more stuff going well for themselves, and ended up switching that taste? What made that switch?
Honestly, just college, like the knowledge that I'm gaining in classes, and the fact that I'm, like, moving up, leveling up every time. And it's always like, I'm a senior now and I'm about to graduate, and it's like, this is no games. Like,
yeah.
So past it hurt from those type of people. It's just like, oh no, like, I can't deal with that again. Like, I need to switch up.
It's crazy that you say that, though, Savannah, because, like, I've been to school, you've been to school, you know what I'm saying? And we both come from around the same neighborhood, worked in the same neighborhood, served in the same neighborhood, went to school in the same neighborhood. And like when you shift that environment, it's
Yes.
crazy how much your taste changes.
Mhm.
Like, the bad boy in college might, what I'm saying, he may not have good grades, but he got a career path, he got a hustle, he got a design for himself, and he making sure he's staying within that environment versus like the bad boy in the hood might be running from cases, he might be putting your
Right.
family in danger. So it's like
Right.
it's even interesting just like when you get into a different space and a different environment, the degrees of what's bad and what's not. And also when you move into a space where you see people that's more successful and doing better, you're like, oh yeah, I don't
Right.
belong in that other spape that I
The
was in.
possibilities just expand. Like
Mm-hmm.
I came out here to Texas and see my first G-Wagon, like,
Yeah.
oh, this is possible. Like I can
Yeah.
do this. Like your environment definitely has a huge like impact on what you think is available to you and like what you attract and what you're attracted to.
Okay. So we're gonna come back to this. I want to ask you a question.
Okay.
What man in your life was the first man like that set the standard for men? Like what man set the standard for men in your life? Which I feel like we all know the answer to, but I want you to dig into it.
Yeah, I thought about this,
Mm-hmm.
but it's like very complex for me because
Okay.
I wouldn't say it's just one man.
Okay.
My dad, of course, we know he's very influential on my life and has set many standards.
Mm-hmm.
And but I would say like he's learning too. And so he didn't have an active father in his life.
Mm-hmm.
And so he is like trial and error. But
Yeah.
the person that he did learn a lot from was my great grandpa. And so like I see Deanna in the comments, like one of the things that we say when somebody's acting up, like when someone we're talking to is acting up, is like Eugene P. Todd would never. Like my great grandpa, and like that's the standard that he set for my whole family, just how he takes care of my great grandma Berta. Well, how he passed a couple years. Yes, Deanna, Eugene P. set the standard, but how he passed a couple years ago, but how he like just catered to my great grandmother and his 4 daughters and me, like that impacted my dad, which then impacted my brothers. Because I will say, like, I know my dad gets a lot of credit, but he's not the only one. My brothers, like when I'm around my brothers, I don't have to touch a bill, I don't have to touch the trash, I don't have to touch the dishes. Like my brother comes over to my place and it's settled, and gas is put in my car, my oil changes, all that. And so and that's just like generations of this is how you take care of women. And so that's what has set my standard to be like, this is how I need to be respected. This is the bare minimum. Like this, a lot of people that might be the, oh my goodness, he cares about me. No, for me, that's the bare minimum because that's what I have experienced throughout my life.
Yeah.
And also just cousins, like there are people, and the same people can show me what not to,
Yeah, that's true.
So like, though they have set a standard, there are some things about them that I'd be like, I don't think that's what I need, So they've set a standard in both ways, like this is what I should accept and versus this is what I shouldn't accept. So
okay, so let me ask you this. I think it's always deep to me because it's like, and I don't know, Mark wasn't referring to you, but he was just like women like gangbangers just in general. And I hear this, but I hear this a lot, not a lot, I don't want to say a lot, but I'll hear it frequently where it's it'll be like ladies who do have those strong male positive role models in their life. Sometimes when it is far removed, such as your great grandfather, it can be difficult because we only get so many years with our greats, you know what I mean, eventually before they pass. But it's like, can you speak to maybe how do young ladies who do have positive role models have a man they know, like, hey, I know I'm supposed to marry a man like that, flaws and all, because like you said, with every parent, and I really applaud you for saying that, is like, my dad's had trial and error. Like how still then, even though you've always had that person in your life that represented everything good, how come sometimes you were still attracted to just the ain't shit ass niggas, you know what I mean?
And I would say like there's so much depth to this question. I would say in my teen years, it was more so like rebellion. Like my dad, I was not, no, I'm going to do everything that he doesn't want me to do right now. And that was it. But then it was also kind of like the trial and error thing, like with flaws and traumas. I think that, like, of course, my dad has a lot of trauma that, of course. And, but sometimes I'll find myself like, the flaws that my dad does have, that's the people that I was going after. It was like, oh yeah, it's my dad, like, you know. And so I was accepting behavior from little boys that was like kind of similar. And it's not just my dad, but also men in my family. Like I would see, oh yeah, my cousins act like this, like it's normal. You know, I'm just normalizing a lot of toxicity. And yeah, so yeah, it's a there's like,
you know, it's crazy because Deanna brings up right here. She's like, it's just rebelling against what you know. You got to touch the fire in order to realize that shit burns. And that point of rebellion, you know, that's deep because in our era is not even our era, our generation, our age range right now, like we're in that rebellion period, even kind of still. Like I got some homies that's 23, 24, 25 still rebellion. And like when it comes to that idea of needing to rebel, when you're talking about at a young age and having a desire for someone, how much do you think like that actually is the case? Like you don't like this person, you just like the fact that they are against everything that people are pushing on you. Do you think that plays a major role in society, and not and specifically to women, because boys are encouraged to rebel? You know what I mean? Like it's a part of our nature, you know what I'm saying? So like that point of rebellion in who you like and who you desire, can you speak to that? You know, because you've probably felt that stronger than other people being the daughter of a, you know what I'm saying, of a pastor.
I was going to say, like, there's a lot of pressure being a PK your whole life, you know, and not only that, but like this is the standard A's. You're gonna get A's in this house. You don't get you don't get this, you know, all these different levels of like perfection, and I'm appreciative of that. I'm here for that reason. But you know, I am still an adolescent dealing with the woes of teenage years and all of that. And so that was the place that I rebelled. I wouldn't say I rebelled as much as, you know, I'm dealing with my little sister right now, and that's like the part of my life that was like my rebellion. Like, no, I'm not. No, he doesn't want me to. Like, I thought I knew everything. Like, oh, he doesn't want me to mess with him for what? Like, let me try this out. Like Deanna said, let me touch this. Let me touch this eye right now, and that's really what it was. Especially as a young girl, like with a dad like that, it's like, why can't I wear these booty shorts? Like, why can't I go out here and do this? And then like once you get older, later on, you're like, he was very much so right. Like he had nothing but good intentions for me. And if I would have just listened, and, you know, I probably wouldn't have went through what I went through, but
Absolutely. So I want to take a quick shift and get a little bit more specific. I want to ask, how much should a young man's past play a role in a woman's preference? So when you're evaluating a young man, because the reason what sparked this question is because we were talking about with me and Mark for men, is that like your past, your body count, like who you been with, you know what I mean? What how much should that affect young women? Because, you know, I think it's really unique with men. There is the issue of if she's had a lot of sexual partners, that I'm not messing with that. You know what I mean? Women, for some reason, they bypass that a little bit more, you know. But there are so many things in a man's past that I think need to be held against him as much as men use women's sexual past, like for one, criminal record. Like if you in out of jail, why you want to date a man that you don't know if you're going to have to bond him out and all those things? So before I get into that, you know, how much should a man's past play a role into, you know, a woman's preference?
I would say like both ways. It's all like the why. Like, what if they're engaging with many sexual people, why are they doing so? And what can I, if I'm choosing to engage with them, what are the consequences of that? You know what I mean? Like if they have this view of sex and I don't, like what can happen with that? Like what is their commitment level to me, or all these different things. And so I think it's just not like, oh, she had a lot of sex with people, she a little hoe, I don't want to mess with her. It's also like her value of herself, how she would value me, all that. So I feel like it's the same way with men's past. It's like, okay, do you truly value yourself? Like, does your past, present, future align with that? And also, speaking from my perspective, dealing with Black men in past and trauma, it's like, do I have the mental capacity to deal with all that this person has to bring?
Ooh, preach.
Yeah, and so it's like all these past traumas, and it doesn't have to be related to sex, but also just being a Black man and having like issues with the household or whatever you come to the table with as yourself, and having to, as a partner, you're affected by that. Like you are in this person's space and you might share deep conversations, and it's just saying like, am I able to help them? Not even just help them, but like, am I able to deal with the things that might come from this because of what they come from? And like Deanna's talking about toxic masculinity, there are people that have like all these traumas have caused different things like toxic masculinity or internalized depression, and I like all these different things, and all like a distrust or mistrust for women, and or just the inability to process and deal with emotions, or like lack of vulnerability. All these things can come from past traumas that are not dealt with. So I would say a past, I'm not the one to deal like judge based on a past, but my like concern is, what are you doing now to unlearn and learn, and
So to speak to that though, so when engaging that, you bring up such a powerful point, because to volley back to what you said, you come from a group of men who have good direction, you know what I mean? Like you said, like when my brother comes over, trash taken out, takes care of things for me. Right. A lot of young men do not come from that. And as you probably know better than me, going through, going out, just surveilling, going through, having, meeting other people, meeting other young men, you'll learn that, young men, they don't understand what it's like to court, take care, nourish, and provide for a woman. So at what point, because this is what I run into with a lot of my homegirls, and especially where we come from, is that we know some of the homies are good people. You know what I'm saying? We know some of the homeboys are good people, but it's like, at what point do you make the decision of, I'm being patient and trying to help this man learn how to grow and do this? You know what I mean? At what point do you make that decision of, okay, I'm going to stick it here and I'm going to try to help teach this man how to do it because I see the potential in him? And then at what point do you say, you know what, I need to go ahead and just walk away? Because I think that's what young ladies are having the most trouble for. And you knew he was going to pop in. You knew he was going to pop in. What's going on, Papa Jones? But I think young ladies are having that problem of deciding, when do I try to build with this man and when do I try to say, go on. And P. Jones already got his parents should have raised him.
Yeah. Okay. Obviously, that's very true. His parents should have raised him. But I will say, not everybody is afforded that opportunity to have that. And so, especially Black men, like, and it's not to generalize, but it is like the Black community, there's a lot of things. Okay, I know that I'm not raising no boy. And I don't play that. Okay, Kim still can't raise a man is like top 5. Yeah. But seriously, like you have to, and even that is just, if you don't have that parental structure or people in your life who can speak into you, what are you doing to seek that out? Like, why am I the person that you are trying to gain that knowledge from? You know what I mean? Like, you could be going to therapy or pursuing your relationship with God, because there are some things that even parents can't teach you. Like, there are things that I have to learn, and I can only do that myself. Absolutely. And so I would say that like that's what I've struggled with. And I feel like that's a thing in the Black community, is like women having to meet the needs of men because of the lack of knowledge or things like this in early childhood to, now. And I know a lot of Black women, like my cousins, myself, my aunties, who are struggling with that. When do I leave? Versus how patient am I supposed to be? And so I'm working on that right now. Shoot.
Yeah.
Dealing with somebody and all the mess that they bring and the traumas and everything like that can be very hard. And you can feel like I need to leave this. But then at the same time, it's like, well, we all got it.
Yeah, it is. And that's just where kind of, like, as a man, we kind of, it's a weird position that men are put in, because it's like, man, we're so expected to learn this and we're expected to learn that. Because there was a notion I brought up to the homies the other day, and it was like, I don't know. I don't know if anyone's ever said this before, but the homie was like, damn, bro, that's kind of true. But if you look at like all of us in the community, you know what I mean? And don't get me wrong, there has been a lot of black men that have abandoned their daughters, and there's been a lot of black men that have abandoned their sons.
Right.
But it's just sometimes, at least in where who I've been around, I'm not going to speak as a whole, but who I've been around, it's like I have seen more effort from black fathers to take care of their girls before to take care of their boys. And I think that is maybe just really uniquely to the space that I've been around. But what it produces is that women already have this more unique understanding because they have the direct relationship with their mom. You know what I'm saying? Because there are more moms in the community. But it's like that lack of boys being connected to the lack of girls being connected to boys and boys being connected to their father, and the slight disparity we get in situations where it's like me and you, I don't have a father that necessarily taught me how to court, you know what I mean? But
Right.
luckily you've been blessed to have a father that showed you the case, that showed you how to do it. But it's like for me and a lot of my fellas, it's like, dang man, we never had that opportunity, but we see so many
Yeah.
girls who do understand that, because we will come across some girls who do, like, you know what I'm saying, if you don't provide for me, at least when it comes to the providing part, maybe not always the emotional part, but when it comes to the providing part. And I want to kind of
Yeah.
get to that point is like, you know, at our age range of, you know, because you're 21 or 22 right now.
22.
22. So, you know, how much should you expect a man when it comes to providing?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because I think that's one notion we do get figured out
Yeah.
faster when it comes to the girl and daughter and son relationship, our daughter and father, is that there are some fathers really providing for their daughters out here.
Yeah.
How do you manage that? Like, man, my daddy is a provider. You not a provider yet. You know what I mean? How do you manage that?
Honestly, I just had to yeah, my dad, I'm reading his comments. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's challenging. But I would say like I don't expect I mean, I expect to be provided for, like in the sense of like my dad, regardless of our financial standing, he took care of what he needed to take care of.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, Deanna, man, yeah. But it's not just financial. I
Yeah.
would say like my dad has taken care of home regardless of how much money we had in the bank. It was always
Mm-hmm.
okay, we gonna have this roof over our head, da da da
Amen.
da. And so for me, it's not like coming from this point of, oh, I've always had it like that, da da da. But
Mm-hmm.
at the same time, because I haven't always had it like that, and my dad still took care of what needed to be taken care of, that's the standard that I have. And so it's not just, oh, you're giving me all these things. No, it's you're being able to take care of what needs to be taken care of.
Mm-hmm.
And things like taking the trash out, things like that, for me, that's provision also. But then
Mm-hmm.
also, aside from like the acts and like financial, it's providing what emotional support are you providing for me? What
Mm-hmm.
like type of, what like emotional, I would say, foundation are you providing for me? Like, are you,
Mm-hmm.
and do I feel like I'm on edge with you? Do I feel like I can be comfortable around you? Can I be vulnerable with you? Like, those are also the type of things that are provision to me. Is like, it's not just finances, because I am a college student. I have never had a part-time, I've never had a full-time job yet.
Mm-hmm.
So why would I expect the same thing right now? But I will
Mm-hmm.
say that there are green and red flags for that later in life.
Yeah.
So if you have no ambition, hustle, you're not, working and striving to provide even small things now, you're never going to provide things later. And so I think a lot of women fail with that. It's like, oh, he's 20, he's in his 20s and he'll get it right when he's this, no.
Yeah.
If there are things that he's not providing for you now, if he's not providing, say a safe space for you, if he's not, paying the Chipotle bill, then that is a red flag for later on in life. Don't think that he's just going to automatically get
Preach.
this provision.
So I want to speak real quick to this provision some more, because it's like even deeper than, you said, even when, there wasn't a lot of money in the bank, my father always made sure the house was provided. But to speak to that money point, a lot of young ladies don't even understand that the kind of peace and security that exists in a relationship when your man isn't out getting money illegally. You know what I mean? Like when your man isn't putting himself in desperate situations and putting it in situations that could harm his safety, his freedom, your safety, your freedom. So can you even just speak to that of like how it feels to see a man provide correctly. You
Right.
know, because a lot of these young ladies, like, we're daughters and sons of dope dealers, gang members, traffickers, pimps,
Yep.
some of us, you know what I mean? So like we come from those situations of seeing people who do crazy stuff to get that dollar. So can you speak to that? What is it like being raised in that environment, but seeing, because you ain't a dummy to none of it, you know what I mean? You've seen it. So what's it like, the difference for the young women watching, like, hey, a man who provides correctly, this is what he brings to the table, versus a man who does not provide correctly and what he brings to the table?
First, I want to say I do not engage with those.
And I know that's it.
Doing that, you feel me? But at this, like, I wouldn't say at the same time, but there are so many levels of oppression that can cause for these things. With speaking simply towards the Black community,
Yes.
and like just like the family structure, and now it's this level of classism and
Yes.
like being deprived of resources and having to do what you got to do, or the lack of knowledge and cultivation that would happen, like to bring people to like higher education. And so I personally am not going to involve myself with that, but I also know that there are those are the things that some people have to do.
Yeah, it's a reality. Absolutely.
And so, right. And so for me personally, I'm not engaging with that because I'm in this higher education space, and I've seen my dad do what he has to do regardless, like in the most legal of ways, but also in the most grinding, hustling, dedicated ways to put a roof over our head. And I know that there are crackhead jobs you can go out and do right now. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so I think that it's a level of awareness and knowledge that can come with, okay, I can broaden these horizons. And like what you're doing right now, like a podcast and these different things, there are different outlets. And I think that we don't realize that until we get older, like, or not older, like the spaces that you're in, like TCU has broadened my mind of like how I can make money, or like ways in which like you can create a business and all these different things that I feel, I don't know, it's just a lack of knowledge or whatever. And I can't really truly speak to all of that because I am not involving myself with somebody that's doing that, simply because of, like you said, what I have grown up around and how I value my life. And I got all these different things weighing on me that you can't mess up my life, and so
I want to bring in, you just brought up something super important, Savannah, when it comes to, center us back to taste is what it sounds like, is like, not what it sounds, what it is that for people like you and myself, we have taken ourselves and gone to different environments. We have exposed ourselves to different environments. We've been in higher education. We've traveled a little bit. You probably more so than I have. And we've just seen what the world looks like away from oppression. I don't want to tag the east side of Denver. I don't want to tag nowhere. I'm just saying separate, away from being marginalized, disenfranchised, just, oppressed. So can you speak to that? Like, when you're evaluating a man, should that be something that should be considered of you, is like, have you exposed yourself to a different environment? Because I'm like that with women. Like, have you been elsewhere? Like, have you experienced what has life done to you? So when it comes to that experience and being of a separate environment, how much do you think that should play a role, and how much does it play a role? And for you when choosing a man, and from the house of the T-Bolts, like P. Jones said.
It's very hard to say that because I'm not like school. I never have messed with a dude at TCU. Like, I've simply been on my school stuff, and the only men that I have really involved myself with have been from the east side. And so that's a hard thing for me. It's like, I don't really, I understand, like, not everybody, like when we had the trips at Manual, like it's a thing. We're not all afforded an opportunity to leave the east side. And so that's what it's hard, but it is a important thing to reflect on for me after this, like that maybe that is something that should be in my taste. Like, have you been able to expose yourself to these different things, or like, and I guess I will say yes, it is, like, now as a adult, like, have you what jobs have you been at, or like what have you tried to apply yourself to a college, university? It's not just I don't know. That's a hard one for me to.
It is a hard one because it's like, it's weird, and I think that's what and I think a lot of young women live in this space because naturally, even when you just don't even remove yourself from the environment, women just mature faster than men. It's just the truth. So like, a man and a woman could live in the same city and have two completely different realities based
Yep.
off of just how women have, especially Black women who have been tasked with the challenge of carrying our community. Y'all naturally are forward thinking 10 times faster than what we are. So like you'll expose yourself to new cultures, new experiences, new everything in the confines of your city. Or even if you just move one other place, you'll find a way to open your brain. And I just think that's just what's interesting about when it comes to the taste that young men and young women have, and just how much young women have to put down, like, and they have to lower themselves
Yeah.
to the fact that they have to lower themselves to the reality that a lot of men are living at. And I think that's just one of the real foundations of this conversation, even, is just like, why are women having to lower themselves so much to the standards of men, and how do we change that, Savannah? Like, how do women take a responsibility for it? Because men, like, we've got our show, we had our show last
Yeah.
week, we can have another show next week if y'all need us to take more responsibility. I'm always for men taking, like I always say, it's very much, in my eyes, it's 75-25, way more dependent on men, because both me and you are spiritual. We understand that the man is the head of the household, he
Yeah.
should take the bulk of the responsibility.
Yeah.
But even for separate for that is like, how do we start coercing women into taking responsibility without putting blame on them for
Yeah.
what their taste is and what they like?
Yep. And I would say that is a very, like my dad in the comments said, when are women gonna stop putting up with this? Like,
Yeah.
seriously, I will say, like, I have a high level of what I could put up with, but it's not just because of who I am, but it's what I see the women in my family putting up with.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like my cousins, my auntie, my granny, everybody is like, here she go, Deanna. Anyway, but it's just like super, it's like a real thing where, oh my goodness, it's like a real thing where women are having to put up with so much, with men. And I will say that what you accept is, and what you are attracting has everything to do with inside of here, what inside of you. And so
preach,
like I had wrote down, like, your taste, it, like, you can have this taste of like, oh, this amazing dude and he's this and this, and then you keep on dating the same person, like that becomes your taste. Like it's not meant, like, your taste in your head is, and if it doesn't align with what you are engaging with, then that's your taste. And I feel like as a lot of women, we have to realize that it's like sometimes our mental does not align with what we are doing, and how we feel about ourselves, and the pain that we've allowed to come into our lives and change our perspective of ourselves and minimizing ourselves and changing our self-worth, comes out in who we engage with. And so I think that it's a very important thing to say, like, what you are I've noticed I put up with the most BS at the darkest times of my life.
Amen.
When I felt
preach.
Right. And so when I felt like I wasn't worth nothing, that's when I was engaging with people who treated me like I wasn't worth anything. And it took me to, like, get myself out of that and do the self-healing work and lean into God and all these different things to not only better myself and how I feel about myself, but to better those around me. Yeah. And because honestly, there's this movie that I love. It's called Perks of Being a Wallflower. And the quote is, we accept the love we think we deserve. And I think that a lot of Black women are hurt just by past traumas and past experiences, either like with your family, your father, and then all these different men that you're engaging with. And it just deteriorates like your insides. Absolutely. And then you are engaging with people who are like playing into that. You know what I mean? Like, you're not, how you feel on the inside is really what is going to manifest itself in your relationships. And I think
that's amazing. That's amazing, because it's like, as you get older and you start maturing, you really start realizing, like, your relationship life is so tied closely to your self-care. Yep. Like, it's remarkable. I think that's what I've noticed as I've gotten older, is like, not only, like, to speak to what you said, also when you take that step back, because to clarify also for the viewers, if they're not reading between the lines, is that Savannah has definitely taken the time to take a step back and get her together. You know what I mean? And whatever that, however that looks, she took the time to do that. And a lot of people of our time and like of our age range don't take the time to do that. And what happens when you take the time to do that, which makes it so deep, and what I've learned in my life is that, and we can speak to this, is that like you'll come out of a toxic phase, get healthy, and then do some toxic shit,
Yep.
and it'll feel horrible. It'll feel so bad because you actually are in a healthy space, but you may have a slip up. You may go back to somebody you ain't supposed to, or be with somebody new who you ain't supposed to. And
Yep.
then when that toxic thing happens, you're like, nah, I'm in too healthy of a space for this. And as you get older with maturity, that becomes your rebound to where you'll move in a healthy space and you'll be like, yeah, I'm not going back to that toxicity. Like I'm not going to do it. But Treyasha brought up a good point. She says, as you shouldn't begin to learn your worth, it also starts with the fathers being present in their daughter's life. Yes, absolutely. Start setting the standards at an early age with your kids. And sadly, we put up with so because of the potential that we see and not the reality. So let's pause on that before I get to the next point with that perception and reality, because I think you already really spoke to it. But why do women think so much with potential versus reality of why is the perception not mirrored close to reality like it should be? What is that? Because as a man, I don't know. And as a man who tries to stay positive, it's always perplexing me that women, when it comes to men, do not accept reality. They accept what they want to, but not what the actual reality is with that man. So why is that?
I think that it all comes back to what you're not accepting about yourself. Like if you're constantly, if you have all these traumas and things going on within you and you just want to, ignore that, that's going to show in your relationship. So now you're in your relationship, ignoring this based on how you're feeling about yourself and what you're ignoring within yourself and what you're choosing not to deal with and heal in yourself. And it's not choosing, I guess and I guess that would mean like, you're not taking accountability for anything because maybe you're not even acknowledging it. Like you're ignoring it so much that you don't even know that it's a thing that's happening. And that's what's causing you to continue to do the same thing in that person.
Preach. And that's action based like that. It's incredible how it takes a level of maturity to understand that the way you act in one area of your life is usually a mirror reflection of another way you act. Like I was explaining, separate from relationship talk, just in exercising, I was explaining to one of my homeboys that when we get inside the gym, like it's not always a social hour. Like it's sometimes when I know I've got a difficult lift that I planned, I attack it with the same way I would attack a task at work because I understand the mentality and that skill set transfers over to other areas of my life. And when it comes into, as we just mentioned before, with relationships and like personal identity, if you don't practice that identifying red flags and in your own life and removing them and dismissing them, how the hell you go do it when you're intertwined with somebody else? So that's a super good point. Ray Don says, because we think they're going to grow into what we see they can be and it's going to get better. But in reality, we're just showing them how to continue to treat us and making the excuse for them instead of holding them accountable and nipping the behavior from jump.
Yep. And I agree with that. Like a lot of us are dealing with a lot of things and we don't want to not only hold them accountable, but realize that we are putting up with this. Like you don't want to say, oh my goodness, Savannah, you allowed this.
Yeah.
Instead, we're just continuing to put up with it because it's like, okay, then I don't have to face reality that I'm allowing this, that I'm accepting this. And so, and also like, if you do care about that person and you do want to, especially if you have kids with that person, you do want to have an end goal of like, we can work together, communicate all of this. And so it's just like, let me put up with this and see, maybe he'll change. And I'm here to tell every woman on here, he is not going to change. Okay. I don't know who needs to hear this, but if you are listening and you think that man is going to change, he's not.
Preach.
The only
He's
person
not
that can change him is God, not you. Like you need to step back and let God do the work.
Yeah. And that's facts, man. And I'm telling you, like I'm always vulnerable, saying it's my show, so I gotta be extra vulnerable. I have been in that space. Like Savannah, when I was coming home, them first couple years, it was some wild stories, you know what I mean? I was living, Savannah know the real me, y'all. Savannah know the real me, y'all. So like I ain't even gonna sit here and play. Savannah know me. So I've been in that space and I try to tell young ladies that I come in contact with, just friends, not friends, whatever the case may be. It's just that until a man is ready within his heart, until he's had that spiritual moment, number one, and then I'll be real raw and honest, until he got his heartbreak, like until I understood how far I was away from God. I remember like there was two defining moments that really made me like get out of what they call the fuckboy phase. I realized how far I was away from God. Like I was like, dang, I came to college, I took God and put him on a shelf, tippy toe high, and then I walked off, you know. So I've been there, I realized that. And then number two is when I got cheated on. And that's when I was like, oh, I didn't, because men are so prideful. You be like, damn, that happened to me. Like, oh, I didn't think, I thought I was too cold for that. But that's for real though. But something Ray Don said, y'all gonna make me single forever. That it ain't about that, Ray Don. We trying not to. Putting up with things today is easier than everyone facing what they need to face. It's always been known that we need to face them, but this generation has literally made it a norm to push issues to the side or make excuses for certain actions or situations, which is where the issue lies. So I'm gonna speak to that point real quick, Isaac, and I wanted to ask you, Savannah, mixing that point in is the sisterhood. I see, like, I ain't gonna throw no names, but there's really a community of women out there that literally they uplift each other in a negative way. You know what I'm saying? Like they encourage each other to still mess with a certain type of men, or they validate each other and okay each other for still messing with a certain type of men. And then they wonder, and this is not to down none of my brothers who's in that war, but it's also like you big these dudes up, and then you're the same ones that are stretched out over the casket when we sitting there burying them. You know what I mean? But you don't understand how much you play influence in that young man's life. So let's talk about like how much does the sisterhood and just society in general influence how much a young lady, what kind of man she likes, and how do the sisterhood uphold that kind of man that, you know, women like?
Well, I would say my toxic days, my toxic relationship days, I was being enabled and encouraged by a lot of sisters. Okay. And like and then, you know, you don't want to take accountability. So you run to them same sisters to give you advice. So that you don't have to face reality. And I think that that's what we do. A lot of us like will do is we like to pick our circle based on enabling, who will enable us. And I feel like that's as women more like, I can't speak to men, of course, but like I've had to realize like, okay, why am I seeking out this person for advice about this situation every time when they're dealing with their like the same exact thing as me? We're obviously both dumb in this situation.
That's for real.
That's for real. I think that that's how I've had to, you know, I have a lot of friends and whatever, but I feel like I have a lot of tension in my friendships because I am that person that's going to tell you what it is and what it ain't, because that's what I wish I had in my life. Because there is a big theme like happening of enabling within sisters, like, oh yeah, your man did this, da, 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 or enabling toxic behaviors like, girl, I went to his, I put sugar in his tank, and it's just like, you have to grow from it. And like this comment, I just read the first sentence, they're in similar situations. And so that, like you said, that mirroring effect is going to take effect in that interaction. So if they're dealing with it, all they're going to do is, you know, let you know what they're feeling, and what they're feeling is the same thing. So
absolutely. And I think that's what, and you know, I don't want to, like I said, I'm not in the profession of women bashing. I'm not misogynistic, you know what I'm saying? But it's like baby mama culture is just out of control. Like there's not a wife culture. Like women, I know a group of women that are persistent on just trying to have babies by these men just to say that they have babies by them. And it's just like, we have got to start encouraging women to hold a culture of like, you can't be enabling, you know what I'm saying, to be around the wrong ones. And then what Deanna said, misery loves company. Misery loves the hell out of company. And I think that's another thing that it shifts to, is just kind of like of understanding of, you know, we're talking about this as a men and woman thing, but you know, when it gets deeper to it, you know, we do that because this is a binary, you know what I'm saying? We're in a binary society, but it's really a character thing. Like it's really, that's when you get older, you start identifying like, yeah, they're just that kind of character, and I'm this kind of character.
And you gotta, and like she said, they gone now. You have to, elevation requires separation with that too. You know, as you elevate in yourself and who you're gonna put yourself around, that is a big thing. Like, because you know, when I was going through it, I was around people going through the same thing, and it was enabling, and we're all enabling each other, and it was no growth. And once you grow and your taste for men and what you accept changes, the people you surround yourself, the sisters that you surround yourself should change also. It's just like, you were Alcohol Anonymous and you go into bars. Like,
yeah,
no.
it wouldn't make no sense. It doesn't help your transition. So in our last couple minutes, to sum this conversation up, and I'm glad we've got someone like you to answer this question as well, who has got got your mind on the right track and is actually in a space to where you can answer this with experience and confidence.
Yeah.
At this age range, let's just close it at from about 18 to 25, because I think after 25, you should start looking to get married. That's just my personal opinion. Like, I'm not saying that should be your focus, but after 25, I think it's like, all right, I'm in that. I just think that's a good space. But from 18 to 25, should a relationship and should like that be your focus in life? Like, when it comes to this taste argument, like even developing what your taste is, what you like how much of a role should it be? Because you're off in college, you're being successful, you know what I'm saying? Like, how much do you think a young lady who is watching this that might be a little younger or just a little bit misguided in their path right now, how much should it play a role?
0. I know
That's
that.
right, 26 be getting rings out here.
Yeah, Deanna, hear you, babe. But I would say like not 0, but I remember y'all had a conversation about prioritization of relationships. Like, that should be the last thing, really. Because once everything else is in order, then that should follow. You know what I'm saying? Like, if your number one priority is relationships, and what are you doing? What self-work are you doing? Like, how are you pursuing your relationship with God? How are you bettering your relationship with your friends, your family members? And it's just like, that's what the priority should be, because who God has for you will be for you. Amen. And I think that that's what we do, is us prioritizing like relationships is just simply us trying to say, I got it, God don't. And trying to like make the wrong one right. And that's what we do when we get too like involved with trying to get into a relationship. And let me do this, let me find this one. You're not going to find the one. It'll be you, especially as women, you are to be found. Let me just say that.
Yeah.
Women, we are to be found.
Yeah. Man that finds a wife finds, amen.
Right. You are to be found. You are not supposed to be out here doing the work to find a man, okay? You need to elevate yourself. I don't know. My dad has said a comment, like, your woman's heart should be so hidden in God that a man has to seek him to find her. So that is not saying that the man should be seeking a woman. The man should be seeking God, and you should be seeking God. That's the priority. And that's what I'm at in life, is like, get yourself together, do for you, go to therapy, go on that trip, hang out with your friends, because everything else will follow, you know what I mean? So that's why that's my thing right now. It's like, of course I have a relationship right now, but he knows I'm gonna go out, I'm gonna have fun, I'm going to do my, don't interrupt my God time, like all of these different things. And so
and to speak, and it's funny because I knew somebody was going to put this. That's funny. A lot of people not religious, though, to speak, to contextualize, because I'm with you, Savannah. I'm standing with you on that. But it's like, it's just the idea of, even if you're not religious, is he chasing his success? And for us who are religious, we understand that everything, our finances, our success, our goals, everything is intertwined into God. We have that understanding. But for someone who doesn't have that belief and understanding, which is fine, it's just the idea of, young ladies, like, is he living his life in pursuit of his dreams and his success and the higher power and the higher sense of belonging and actions that he needs to fulfill in order to reach that?
And that's the part of being equally yoked, though. If you are a woman of God, you should not be aspiring to deal with somebody that is like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, absolutely. If you like are not religious, then you should be engaging with someone like that. You know what I'm saying? I cannot speak to that, because I do believe God is my number one. And I know we got into these many conversations.
See how closely knit we are, y'all, on this show? We all closely knit, from the people in the video. Like, Ray Don, we go way back. Shout out to Ray Don, everybody. Isaac, we all in this.
You already know how my feelings are. I can only speak about how I feel, but it's all about it being equally yoked. And that's why, like, that question of, will my taste change, and like leading into marriage? Yes, 100%, because you have to be equally yoked in how you deal with kids, like your religion, what your belief system is, the money situations, how home life will operate. And so that's a good point to bring up, Jabri, because not everyone is religious, but a lot of times people will try to mix and match and you're not, and then you clash.
And that's just all, man. You see, we might, as we're wrapping in, we go keep going though, but we might have to have a part 2 on that too, because it's like evenly yoked. As it's so crazy you bring that up, Savannah, because just literally in my last relationship that I walked away from, I really felt like God gave me the understanding of what it actually means to be evenly yoked. See, I thought it was solely about, if you believe in Jesus, that he died on the cross for your sins, and I believe in Jesus, that he died on the cross for my sins, evenly yoked. That's what I used to think it was about, evenly yoked. But even for those who are not religious, evenly yoked is just about, the Bible preaches for us to have a balance, just in general. So it's like, or even when it comes to career paths, no, you both don't have to be in the nonprofit sector or business, oil, whatever, but do you attack your careers aggressively the same way? When it comes to hobbies, like, you don't have to have the same hobbies, but are your hobbies as leisure paced as the same way? It's so many things that go into when you're having a taste for an individual. Is like, are you really going to be you know what I mean? Like, are you really going to be evenly yoked with this person in aspirations and
because
action?
a lot of people will get married and then realize, hold up, we didn't have this conversation about bills. He was raised this way, I was raised this way. Wait, he doesn't want to go to my church because we don't believe in the same thing. Oh wait, he doesn't believe in whooping kids, and I believe in whooping ass. You feel me?
Like, absolutely. Yeah, we spare the rod, spoil the child. The word says us. But I just want, as we get ready to wrap up, I'm just sitting here scheming. What we go do is we go have to have a part 3 and bring everybody together. We go have to bring bring Mark back on, bring you on, Deanna. We can plug you in there too. You know what I'm saying? You fam too, so we can flood the screen. And Isaac, already got something planned for you. I'm gonna be in your inbox in a little bit soon, bro. But overall, I just want to give a super major shout out. I thought last week honestly was the best show we had, and like, you just came in and shattered that one and all the other ones. So I'm super proud of you. Like I said, we go way back. Keep killing it, keep doing your thing, representing the east side of Denver. You know what I'm saying? Manual Thunderbolts down there at TCU. I'm super excited for whatever God's got planned for you after graduation, because I know you go come back here or be at home or whatever the case may be, and you go end up tearing it up. To all my viewers, I just want to say, man, super shout out to y'all. This has been super special to me, man. We're growing daily. You know what I'm saying? Savannah will definitely be back for, like I said, part 3 and some more. We go definitely just talk about college. We got to have an episode where we just talk about college. But I love all y'all, man. I love all my viewers. Shout out to Savannah, P. Jones, everybody. We back again next Wednesday. Make sure y'all tap in. Go like the Make a Culture Move podcast. Head over to East End Visions Apparel. Savannah got a hoodie too. So just she got another one on the way. She got another one on the way too. You know what I'm saying? She got that city love on the way. So I appreciate y'all, and we'll be back next week. Much love, y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Shout out Ray Don. Yep. Appreciate y'all.